Thanks, everyone, for being here today. Let me say a few words of introduction, and then we'll start the program. There are lots of people here that are more interesting for you to listen to than myself. But I just want to let you know who we are and why we're here in London today and what it is that we're doing. So my name's Jason Bordoff. I joined the faculty at Columbia's School of International and Public Affairs in New York City in January, and am director of the new Center on Global Energy Policy that Columbia University just started. Prior to that, I served for 4 years in the Obama administration as special assistant to the President for Energy and Climate Change on the staff of the National Security Council, among a few other positions in the administration before that. And I left, other than those jobs can burn you out a little bit, and felt ready to do something else, but really left because I was extraordinarily excited about what Columbia University was trying to build. I really can't imagine a more interesting or important time to be doing what the university is doing, trying to help policymakers understand what to make of the rapidly changing energy landscape that we see right now in North America and around the world. I think a few decades from now, we'll look back at this moment when we're living in right now. You know, the next Dan Yergin that writes the next book on energy decades from now will sort of write about this moment as a truly transformational moment in the world's energy history. We see new technologies unlocking vast new hydrocarbon resources around the world. Clean energy technologies making exciting breakthroughs and costs dropping rapidly. Climate change impacts being felt more frequently and more severely. And just before I left the White House, was kind of stuck in New York City because my family had already moved to New York so the kids could start school. I couldn't get back to Washington during Hurricane Sandy, and we saw firsthand what increasingly severe weather, rising sea levels, and the impacts of climate can do to communities as New York still tries to recover from that. So all these changes are having profound economic, security, environmental implications, and we're going to hear a lot about those today from a really distinguished group of panelists and speakers. The vast changes in our energy landscape need to be met by changes in our energy policy. And, you know, in the U.S., for example, where I worked, it's really extraordinary to look at the kinds of issues that are on the table today that policymakers need to think about that really would have been unimaginable just a few years ago for policymakers to have to decide, like, should the United States export energy? This is a pressing issue now in Washington, D.C., as you all know. How do we address infrastructure bottlenecks and flip our pipeline system on its head? Are there safety or other implications of moving 1.5 million barrels a day of oil around North America by rail? The greatest innovation of the 19th century is now how we're moving oil around North America. How do we revise biofuel policy, because it was put in place at a time when everyone thought gasoline consumption was going up, and now it's going down. And so there are all these changes that are happening. Should our policy toward the Middle East change if, in fact, we import very little oil from the Middle East moving forward? So there's all these transformations and changes happening in the energy landscape, and policymakers, I think, need good analysis to help them understand how to make good decisions so that policy can keep pace with all of these changes, so that we can realize the opportunities and address the challenges of the rapidly changing energy landscape, and ultimately whether we are able to meet the defining challenge for the next generation, which is how to provide affordable, secure, reliable access to energy without harming the planet. And so again, my experience in the White House was often these issues hit your desk. You have much less time to really understand new developments than you would like. And so you look around to see where's the best analysis, who's already answered this question for me. And there is good work that is done out there, but I think too often the policy that was sort of most easily at hand, the policy analysis, was done by one interest group or another. You'd see two competing papers that said precisely the opposite things, and they were funded by interest groups on both sides. And you were looking for a trusted, objective source of rigorous analysis that was done in an accessible, easy to understand, and policy-relevant way. And I think, again, there are good institutions that do this in the U.S. and in Europe and here in the U.K., but I think there is an opportunity to do even more. And so that is the mission for the Center on Global Energy Policy at Columbia. It's to take a global perspective, provide a platform for cutting-edge research, informed by real-world experience and market insights, and to help policymakers navigate the increasingly complex world of energy and understand what to make of all of the changes that I just talked about. I think New York City is I couldn't imagine a better place to do it. We're going to take advantage of the resources we have in New York. The global, this is a risky thing to say here in London, but I'll say it anyway, the global center for energy finance and markets and parts of the industry. Okay, well, so New York and London. But that's why we're here. We're here because we have to work together. Columbia has 8 global centers around the world located in key energy areas like Brazil, China, the Middle East, and we're going to make use of all of those to really be a global center and do work in a bunch of those regions. And then Columbia University's world-class faculty across a range of disciplines from law to science to business, engineering, and all the rest, because you need all of those insights and expertise when you study energy, which is what makes it such a fascinating field. So, as you can tell, I couldn't be more excited about the center's potential and what Columbia is trying to do. We're already off to a really great start. We've hosted numerous events on everything from Russia's oil outlook to India's energy challenges and a host of others. About 6 weeks ago, we had a kickoff event in New York with a really who's who lineup of energy of people in the energy world. New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, National Security Advisor Tom Donilon, the acting energy secretary at the time, Dan Poneman, Dan Yergin, and many others. And it's worth looking at our website because both Mayor Bloomberg and Tom Donilon, I think, gave really important policy speeches. Mayor Bloomberg, who cares passionately about climate change, gave one of the most vigorous defenses of developing our shale gas resources that I've heard anyone give in quite a while. And the National Security Advisor, Tom Donilon, who's now a National Security Advisor for another month or two anyway, really laid out for the first time a comprehensive view of how the Obama administration understands the national security implications of the energy boom that we're seeing in North America and what it means. So I would encourage you to take a look at both of those things. We are out grabbing talent wherever we can find it, and I was thrilled that when David Sandalo, who's here today and was acting under Secretary of Energy in the Obama administration, decided to leave government service and had his pick of jobs in the energy world, he decided to become the inaugural fellow and senior research scholar at Columbia, and so will be with us for the next year. Nobuo Tanaka, the former head of the International Energy Agency, will be a non-resident fellow at the center for the next year. Sergio Gabrielli, the former head of Petrobras, who's not with us today, will be a non-resident fellow for the next year. And we are staffing up, so you'll see more announcements of personnel coming soon. And you can sign up for our list on our website or follow us on Twitter or lots of other things to get all those announcements. So we're off and running with a lot of exciting work. But as I said, because energy markets are global, because of the importance of London as well as New York to the worlds of energy finance and energy markets, we thought it was important to come here and introduce ourselves to the energy world here in London because all of the policy work we're doing really requires coordinated action, coordination, because all these energy issues really span borders, and so we wanted to make sure that the people, energy executives, thought leaders, policymakers, journalists here in the UK knew what we were up to so we could today begin a process of close collaboration moving forward. So we hope this will be the beginning of many mutually productive partnerships and opportunities for collaboration. For me, it's really a privilege to be back in the UK too, since this was also where I first developed my passion for energy, was really studying Middle East politics at Oxford University on the Marshall Scholarship. And so I see Minister Fallon has arrived. So now that representative of the government is here, I can say thank you to the government for the opportunity to study here in the UK and earn my graduate degree here. I want to say a few other words of thanks as well. Osman Shanshaw from Afrin for his generosity in making today's event possible. Nancy Barberwitz, Madeline Storms, Helen Elliott, and many others for all the work they did to put this event together. And then Jesse McCormick, who worked for me at the White House, and I convinced him to leave Washington and move to New York to help start the Energy Center, and really has been indispensable every step of the way. So I want to say thanks to all of them. A few quick procedural announcements. There'll be the opportunity for Q&A during the program, during the onstage conversations as well. So if you'd like to submit a question, there should be cards that will be distributed. Please write your name and the question and your affiliation as clearly as possible. And to whom the question is addressed, we'll collect those and bring them up to the moderator. Please take a moment to silence your cell phones. This is being webcast, so that will be for the benefit of our distinguished speakers and your